The rand is holding steady, supported by a weaker dollar ahead of a week headlined by tomorrow's national election and featuring an interest rate decision on Thursday. Financial markets are brimming with optimism as voters get ready to cast their ballot. There's a widespread belief amongst investors that stocks, bonds and the currency will keep soaring after the election, especially as record-hitting commodity prices boost the exports that the economy relies on. We are going to shortly be joined by the Minister of Finance Enoch Godongwana, who's going to give us a perspective on the economy. Minister, thank you so much for your time this afternoon. The last time you and I spoke, we were talking around the budget. The biggest theme was around fiscal consolidation. When you look at what's happening in the bond market since our last discussion, do you get a sense that investors believe that we'll be able to get national debt under control?
Yes, I think you must have seen over the past week, I don't know why people are publishing this thing now. You'll see that for the first time, we have had what is called a primary budget, primary surplus. So that in itself is good news, which means, mind you, although our fiscal anchor is debt to GDP ratio, our operational target is the primary surplus. So that in itself is giving confidence that what we tabled in February is on the right track.
Let's talk state-owned entities for a bit. I mean, you look at developments having around Eskom, that is, in the sense that we haven't had load shedding in quite a bit of time. And then you also look at what's happening on the Transnet freight rail side of things. When your department engages with either Eskom or Transnet, do you get a sense that things are slowly picking up and we're getting on track?
Let me just give you an indication. We did a study using engineers from Germany as to identify what are the operational issues at Eskom. What they said was we needed to take a knock and a lot of load shedding while doing massive planned maintenance. I'm quite confident that's what Eskom has done. Massive planned maintenance, and now we're beginning to reap the fruits of such an exercise. So we are happy with the progress in Eskom. We are interacting with the Transnet team because logistics is quite critical for, particularly for the commodities. So we are interacting with them to ensure that they can improve their operational efficiencies.
So with that said, is it fair to say that you will be maintaining your economic growth projections, that is, at least until October when you table the midterm budget?
For now, yes. We don't normally, every quarter, makes an announcement about our forecast. We will, when we table the medium-term budget policy statement in October, we'll be able to make a medium-term forecast.
It would be remiss of me to talk about Transnet and exports without bringing in the conversation around China here, because it is an important destination when it comes to mining exports. However, we've seen China's recovery being impacted by what's going on the property side of things. How important is a resurgent China, especially when we bring into consideration SA's mining exports?
It's not only a South African challenge, it's a global challenge. You will see, for instance, in the World Economic Outlook, the IMF cites that as one of the downside risks for the world global economy. So it's also a downside risk for us as well, particularly for our mining sector, because China is an important destination for our commodities.
Let's talk funding of certain programs. I think one of the biggest discussions, at least over the past couple of weeks, has been around the NHI bill. Some have even brought in the conversation around the universal basic income. What is your thinking around funding of those programs? What do you believe that investors are missing when they look at this picture?
Let me start with the NHI. I think a lot of noise is largely politics than fact. If you look at facts, what is likely to happen is that at the moment is institution building. In other words, we'll have to make sure that the NHI is listed in the relevant schedule of the PFMA as a state entity, and secondly, populate it with the requisite skills to make sure that it can do the required functions. Parallel to that, there will be a pilot in all the 9 provinces, in 9 regions. What that pilot will be about is how to start piloting purchasing services, both from the public and private operators. So it's a kind of a 2 strategy. That's the first phase of the NHI. And then the noise about is going to be expensive. It's too early to make such a noise.
The last time, again, you and I spoke, you've always joked that age is not on your side. After the election, would you be prepared to stay in your current position as finance minister if you were asked to do so?
If I'm asked to do so, yes.
With that said, Minister, thank you so much for your time. That is Finance Minister Enoch Godongwana giving us some perspective on the economy, but also talking to us about some of the aspects that he is paying attention to, China's resurgence being one of those, but also unpacking what's happening from the fiscal consolidation side of things.